I don't got much to do today, so I figured why not check out some old pioneer cemeteries. This is known as the Banister Cemetery. This sign is very faded, but that said Banister. In this canyon, there's a lot of ghost towns, none that really remain now, just sticks and stones basically. But there's a lot of pioneer cemeteries because of that. These used to be old miners that passed away. This is where the cemetery is. Got a couple other cemeteries up ahead. So we're gonna make a day of exploring abandoned cemeteries. This one is extremely old. This is over 100 years old. It's an early 1900s cemetery, even used in the 1800s, I believe. But there's no headstones or anything. It looks like just a plot of land now. Here's the second cemetery today. It's a bit too modern to go inside of. It's not my thing per se. But here's the cemetery. I'm into the pioneer cemeteries because they're like old and abandoned and super unique. This one has a lot of recent headstones. So it might still be an active cemetery. Not really sure because some of it looks really old, like the ones with the crosses, but some of them just look recent. And right here, we're next to a town right now. That's a town of, I believe, Leadore, Idaho. Got a giant L on the side of the hill for the town. So this is where I spent the night. I just slipped in the back just like I did on my cross-country road trips before. Which I filmed one of them, actually. Did a whole series on it. But I'm just doing an overnight trip tonight, because I came from Idaho. I'm in Montana now, and within this tree line is an old pioneer cemetery, and we're gonna go check it out. Got a creek running through camp. Conveniently, the road is right there. I got here 11 last night, so I just camped right outside of a cemetery. And we are in Beaverhead Deer Lodge National Forest. So it's a really small cemetery. Just a couple gravestones. See, I didn't know what to expect, but it's interesting nevertheless. And just look around us. Absolute middle of nowhere in the mountains. It's amazing up here. It's freezing out here, but we're going to continue. We'll keep it going and check out another pioneer cemetery in Montana. I am now at Bannack Cemetery. That's not to be confused with Bannack Old Cemetery. I actually spent a night in the Suzuki because I figured why not make a camping trip out of it. I always keep my sleeping bag and everything in the Suzuki just in case I'm going to go camping. So these are the gravestones. I'm curious about the dates. 18. Can't read that. It's sometimes easier to see on camera, so I'm editing this. I could clearly see what the date is, but in person, it's not always easy. But there's so many gravestones because Bannack was a really significant town. 1900 to 1920. Look at the size of that. That's really neat looking. 1897, died, born 1877. That was Grace, 1882 to 1897. I'm noticing a lot of these 1800s gravestones. I've mentioned this before, but they don't live very long. They didn't live too long compared to modern day. I like seeing these pioneer cemeteries. I liked the two yesterday. First one, we barely even seen anything. Second one was pretty cool, but couldn't really get inside of it. I didn't really want to. It was more modern, but it's marked as a pioneer cemetery. But this is a proper pioneer cemetery that is fixed up and in decent condition, such as 1819 to 1892. It's huge too. So all of these people, their occupation was mining. This was a mining town. It thrived on a bunch of mining, gold, silver, you name it. 1857 to 1913, and then 1886 to 1954. I don't know. I think about that. How old would you want to live to? Let me know. I mean, I wouldn't mind maybe 100. Anything over 100's kind of, as long as you're healthy, as long as you can move around. 1874 to 1937. Just walking around. They kind of have this path carved out where a lot of people have walked before. No date on that. Doesn't have a date also. I'm gonna do a quick 360 just so you could kind of look around and get an idea. So tons of gravestones. I always like seeing the fences. I've seen a few of those, especially in Nevada. That's extremely prominent. What was the ghost town in Galena? Galena, I think the name was. The mining town. And it had a lot of those in its cemetery. 1892 to 1903. Like, what's the deal with all these people not only living something like 20 years or 30? Like, they weren't mining coal, Couldn't have been that bad. (1861 to 1891). And then born in 1840. Passed away in 1903, 1838 to 1920. So that's it for this cemetery.